Welcome back to Winnipeg and inside the MTS Center, where the Winnipeg Jets no longer fly under the radar. They will go into this NHL All-Star break in playoff position and with the second best record in Canada, right behind the Montreal Canadiens. But they're facing an improved Columbus team tonight, a team that's getting healthy, a team that's getting better, and a team that has a goalie that can steal a game. Sergei Bobrovsky gets the start tonight. The 26-year-old was in net on Monday, made 25 saves against the Minnesota Wild. 21 of those came in the second and third period as he preserved the win, and they come in at a two-game win streak. Down at the other end, the rotation has continued for the last 8 games here in Winnipeg, so it's Michael Hutchinson's turn. The 24-year-old rookie faced the Blue Jackets back in November and got a win there, allowing just 2 goals on 34 shots. There are your referees. Dave Jackson and Ghislain Hebert are the refs, and Mark Shuchuk and Brian Mock are the linesmen. Seeing as neither one of these teams play until next Tuesday, we expect the gas tank will be pretty close to empty tonight. Two teams that like to play physical and hard hockey. And right away, Columbus gets into the Winnipeg zone. There is Dubinsky right out in front of the puck. Got away from him, but it's held to the line by Jack Johnson. David Savard keeps it in, puts it around the boards where it's met by Frolik. Chips it off the boards, but not out. Number 53 is Josh Anderson, just recently called up for the American League. And that one is going to get away from Johnson and back into his own zone. Long pass looking for Ryan Johansson, and that is going to be icing against Columbus.
Well, Columbus has used this line to start off the game with high success lately, with Dubinsky, the leader, being at the center ice position with Hartnell and young Josh Anderson, and they really do provide energy. They get on the body early, and they set the tone, which is exactly what they did in their first shift here in Winnipeg.
Johansson in there to take that draw against Brian Little. He wins it, pulls it back, and now Savard is pressured by Ladd, has to move the puck, and he does. It goes off a skate right back inside the blue line. There's Byfuglien. Dustin Byfuglien hammers that puck in there, and it's sent back by Savard in behind the net. Wheeler knocked off his skates there by Dalton Kraut. Here is Nick Foligno, who leads the Blue Jackets in goals so far this season, tying a career high already with 18, which he did last year. Ladd up high in front, scores! Wheeler, backhand, 1-0 Jets. Quick start for the home team.
Well, for me, this has been one of the best lines in hockey in the last several months. Some good down-ice pressure and forechecking by Ladd, which creates the giveaways, and Columbus gets running out of their zone. Why? Good contact. Now it's Little's turn. Another giveaway forced by good puck pressure, size, and speed. And the end result is Wheeler going to the net, and he'll just chip it up over top of Bobrovsky after Ladd sets him up in the slot.
Blake Wheeler with a quick start for the Jets. That's his 13th of the season and just his 3rd goal all season on home ice. And it is 1-0 in a hurry. Just over a minute into the game as they jump on their first opportunity. There's Matt Calvert now, spins that puck into the near side boards and is picked up by Kraut. Kraut goes into the middle. That is broken up by Jacob Trouba back on the ice after missing 16 games with an injury. He's paired tonight with Jay Harrison, and he's backing up right now. Alexander Wennberg comes across. Calvert with a shot and a save by Hutchinson. Matt Calvert, the Brandon, Manitoba native. Lots of friends and family in the stands tonight. Jay Harrison with a puck. Heard Mark Stewart is a scratch tonight. He probably could have played, according to Paul Maurice, but wanted to give him a kind of a maintenance night off with lots of hard hockey still ahead. Gagliardi chips that puck in, and going after it is Peluso. He is given a bump there by Wisniewski. Now Jack Skilly, right side boards. Stops up inside the line, fires the shot. Hutchinson the save, and he got the rebound too on the bouncing puck in front of the net.
Well, interesting territory for the Winnipeg Jets. The last time these guys met, 9 seconds into the game, it was Brian Little who stole the puck and waltzed right in and scored to give the Jets an early lead. Now tonight, not quite 9 seconds, but 1 minute 8 seconds, and they score here early once again. to give their team an early lead.
Wheeler from Ladd and Little at 1:08. And the Jets control the puck off the draw. Toby Enstrom gave it up to Frolik and then heads in there after it. Savard sidesteps the oncoming train there, the Evander Kane. Savard's a big body himself. He can handle all that. Here's Frolik holding the line, chops it off the board, got up in the facial area of Scotty Hartnell. On the side boards, and Kane is whacking at it. So is Frolik is up there, but Dubinsky has it. Gets it to Hartnell in his first season in Columbus. Acquired in that trade in the offseason that sent R.J. Umberger back to Philadelphia. Here is Bogosian, recently back from a stint on the injured list as well. He's had a hot stick since he's come back. Moving in there is Moore. Johansson tries to get it to him. Moore shoots into traffic. Hutchinson is save, and he finds that loose puck. Tracks it well and holds on for the faceoff.
One thing that Hutchinson does very well is read plays. He's got a high intelligence level for a goalie. This is a good example here where he just shuffles across, makes the first save, and then is in good position for the rebound attempt in front on Foligno. Why? Because he didn't chase the first one. He just took a couple of steps over and then a couple of steps back to the middle of the crease.
Little wins that draw against Johansson, and it comes to Andrew Ladd. Ladd and Little have been piling up the points the last 12 or 13 games. Then Sherratt into the middle, up to Ladd. Pressured along the boards there by Johansson. Gets it away to Byfuglien. And Byfuglien at center hammers that puck in there. Bounces all the way out. Johansson is back there. Little takes over, but Johansson breaks it up. Up in the air it goes to Byfuglien. Byfuglien named the NHL's first star of the week for his work last week, and he will be going to Columbus tomorrow. And now he's got the puck on the turnover. Stepping in is Byfuglien. Snapshot. Deflected other way by. Goes in there for the rebound. Gets a hold of it. Here is Byfuglien walking out. In for Harrison. Can't get it deep, and they've turned it back over to Columbus. Now Columbus is giving it right back. Here is Kraut. Lowry goes back and forth with Halischuk. He can't snap a shot. Thornburn does, and that is blocked by Alexander Wenberg. Wenberg, number 41, recently called up, started the season in Columbus. The Swedish rookie, and now he's showing a lot more confidence and strength on the ice. He goes to the bench. Here's Halischuk, dumps it in. And that is blown down at the Columbus blue line.
Byfuglien is always thinking offense, and he stands up well in the neutral zone. Here's a good chance here by just intercepting the puck by standing right up and then rifling it just over the net, and a good chance for Byfuglien. And the Jets are sure glad to have Trouba back, and this is one of the reasons why. He's got a high compete level, and he makes a real nice play here and a potential rush chance for Columbus.
Trouba's been itching to get back into the lineup since going down with an injury in early December after a game against Anaheim here in this building. Now they've got a crowded blue line group, don't they? Into the corner goes Trouba, is there, and it comes near side for Harrison. Harrison was acquired December 18th from Carolina for a 6th-round pick. Former Soldier Paul Maurice in the NHL and the American League. Here is Slater now. 4th line going to work for the Jets. Out of the corner is Peluso. Try to get it back to the line, and does for Enstrom. He sends that one around the boards, and Bogosian was bumped, and the puck gets away. Here is Toby Enstrom now. His 7th game back after missing 19 on the injured list. Lead pass up for Mark Scheifele. Scheifele drops it back for Enstrom. Enstrom makes one move, throws it in front, and they couldn't get a tip. There's Bogosian with a drive, and that's in behind Savard. Here comes Anderson pushing that puck ahead, not very far. In fact, here comes Scheifele back the other way, drops it off. Kane shoots, scores! What a start for the Jets.
Well, the Jets have come ready to play tonight. Kane with 3 goals in the last 2 games against Columbus. But here's the giveaway right in the neutral zone. And then just a harmless looking shot by Kane that goes right through Bobrovsky, and very rarely do you see this goal go in on such a good goaltender like Bobrovsky? Nice little play on the drop pass, and there is Kane with that quick release that fools the goaltender. After Scheifele goes waltzing in with a nice little feather drop pass to find Kane.
Evander Kane, who scored 2 goals in the previous meeting on November 25th in Columbus, gets the second goal tonight. And it's a quick 2-0 lead for Winnipeg. Scheifele draws the lone assist on Evander Kane's 10th goal of the season. Here's Ladd now. He'll chip it back in. Back to get it is James Wisniewski. Wisniewski, who had a 3-point game on Monday against the Wild, including the game winner. Lowry takes his man at center ice, and here they come again. Thorburn charging in on his backhand, and he whistles that one wide of the glove side. Jets are really moving their feet. Here's Thorburn again, going to go for a skate. Cuts it in the middle. Thorburn across. Lowry can't get a good shot away. Still with the puck, gets it to Hagelchuk. Lowry being watched there by Kevin Connauton. Number 4, a waiver wire pickup from Dallas. Now Jeremy Morin, the former Chicago Blackhawk, puts it in deep, waits for behind the net, but that is broken up by Trouba. Trouba across to Harrison, who hustles up that right side to the line, not out, held there by Fedor Tutin. 7.5 minutes into the game, 2-0 Winnipeg. Trouba, good work to get out from behind the net and gets it away to TJ Gagliardi. Jack Skilly, big physical forward. Recently missed 4 games, but right back into the lineup to add some punch for Todd Richards. Peluso banks it up to Gagliardi. He's met by Skilly now on the opposite side. And Winnipeg is offside entering the zone. 2 goals under 5 minutes apart for the Jets. And they are humming on home ice tonight, 2-0.
NHL is set to announce its schedule of outdoor games for next season, and news broke late yesterday that Winnipeg will not be on it. The Bombers and Jets could not agree on a date for the Heritage Classic. Jets and NHL wanted December. About a month after Winnipeg hosts the Grey Cup, the Bombers wanted February so as not to have the Heritage Classic impact Grey Cup ticket sales. Also, the NHL was not enamored with picking up heating costs for Investors Group Field from November to February. So we look now to a year from this coming December, almost 2 years before we see the Heritage Classic here in Winnipeg. That's 23 months of guessing what the weather's going to be like on that day, Dave.
Well, we know it'll be cold. We know that much, but that might not be a bad thing. They have 2 big-time events in back-to-back years of that beautiful stadium they have here in Winnipeg. Right now, Columbus just trying to find a way to get back in this game as the Jets have jumped on them for 2 quick ones here in the first period. Look at Josh Anderson in there with a hard forecheck and couldn't get a good shot away. Anderson, who is playing just his 4th NHL game. He's a rookie from Burlington, Ontario. This one's quickly moved across to Johnson in front. Dubinsky shoots. Hutchinson makes the stop and hangs on.
Well, Dubinsky with another good chance, and this line's had a couple in this first period when they've been on the ice. Why? Well, they're a pretty good forechecking group. They go to the net well. Dubinsky will circle high in the slot away from the traffic, and the puck arrives right in the stick, and Hutchinson again with another excellent save. He's being very sharp here early, although not tested all that much.
Johansson's line back out there. And the Jets come away with a cross-ice feed up to Blake Wheeler, who's got one of the goals tonight for Winnipeg. Back inside the Winnipeg blue line, rolls in towards Hutchinson. Sherratt lost his footing. It's back of the referee there. Then Sherratt was one of the call-ups. He was called up December 3rd for a game against the Edmonton Oilers. And they ran into injury trouble on the back end. He's been in the lineup ever since.
He's not going anywhere. And a real good player for the Winnipeg Jets on the blue line since waiting his turn for a number of years in the American League.
Originally a draft pick of the Atlanta Thrashers back in 2009. Here is Kevin Connauton, 24 years of age, who's scored 7 goals, all of them with Columbus since being picked up on waivers in late November. Lowry with a shot right across the goal mouth. Met by Calvert. And he'll put this one down the ice. Foot race there. Cam Atkinson's his speedster. Trying to cut in front. Loose puck. Hutchinson makes the save. In close on Wenberg. Throws it back to the line for Prout. Prout goes across to Tooten. His drive snapped out of the air by Hutchinson, who appears razor sharp and ready to go tonight.
Both teams have created chances because of their speed, and Atkinson can really fly, and this is a good example of it here, where he just absolutely takes off and wins the foot race. And when he does that, gains puck possession on the inside there. The first good chance going to the net because of it, and then puck recovery, and Columbus with the second chance. And again, Hutchinson finds the puck through traffic and gets his blocker on the play.
Slater pulls that puck back. Bogosian puts it in behind the net. Enstrom gets it away to TJ Gagliardi. And Gagliardi flips the bouncing puck in. Bobrovsky watches it. Peluso is first to it in behind the goal. And here is Gagliardi back to Enstrom. His drive wide of the net. Bogosian helped out by Slater back towards the goal. Kicked aside by Bobrovsky. Jets are buzzing out in front for Gagliardi. Couldn't get a good shot. Here is Enstrom. Up of the play against Prout. Gagliardi to Bogosian. Great shot and a good save by Bobrovsky on that quick one-timer. Calling for it again. Bogosian takes a look and then puts it into the corner. Gagliardi now in his backhand behind the net for Slater, being watched by Fedor Tooten. Tooten chops it out, and now the Jets are changing, making the long change on the fly. There is Trouba out of the ice, and finally Columbus relieves some pressure, and they're able to change. Past the midway point of this first period. Quick start for Winnipeg. Look out, Trouba's giving it up to Dubinsky, but he's helped out from the backside by Scheifele. Scott Hartnell now. Banks one back to Jack Johnson. In behind the net comes Dubinsky. Dubinsky to Anderson now. Anderson cycles it back, waiting for it. There is Hartnell with some room out in front. Anderson with a drive, and I'm not sure that got to the net, but that one does. And Hutchinson stopped that and picks up his stick. Here's Trouba. Savard is going to step up there. Puck goes into the corner. Scheifele trying to contain it. Moore is there, and we got our first penalty call of the game. It's going to be interference, and the Blue Jackets will get a power play when we come back. The Super Bowl of Alpine Racing, and it's live this Saturday. Join Jim Van Horn and Brian Stemmel for the men's downhill from Kitzbühel, Austria. Catch it at 5:30 a.m. Eastern on Sportsnet.
Well, Trouba with a little inactivity here, and he gets caught trying to do too much on this last shift. And what does that lead to? It leads to all kinds of pressure in the Winnipeg zone, and then a tired group on the ice, and then the end result, a penalty to Bogosian as he gets his free arm out and grabs the penalty for holding.
The 194th shorthanded situation for the Jets. Most of the NHL's not even close. There's Johansson with a drive and a glove save made by Hutchinson. This power play for Columbus is good. Third overall and on the road.
You got to win face-offs for good power plays to gain possession, and Columbus do that. They just dish it off, and they're not afraid to shoot from anywhere. No traffic in front on that particular save, however.
James Wisniewski drops it off for Johansson. Back to Wisniewski. His drive just misses. Rebound, and that goes over the net and up and out of play off the stick of Ryan Johansson, who's got 7 power play goals.
And Johansson, he has 8 in his last 14, and he's a shooter. So anytime he has opportunities, he's going to throw it towards the net. And the key to the power play is Foligno, who's a great tipper and an excellent player in front of the crease to screen goaltenders.
He's got 9 power play goals, tied for 3rd most in the NHL right now. Jets penalty killing, 9th overall, but 19th on home ice, Greg. Jack Johnson picks his way to the zone. Lead pass up to Wisniewski, and the Blue Jackets are in. Here is Foligno in behind the net. Near side for Johansson, comes back to the point and just past Wisniewski. James Wisniewski with 51 points for the Blue Jackets last season. He's got a real sneaky heavy shot back there.
He can fire it.
Here's Dubinsky trying to step away from Evander Kane. The Winnipeg Jets have 7 shorthanded goals. Atkinson gets that away, and then the return feed to Wisniewski. Steps inside, just near point, goes across to Johnson. Johnson being watched by Wheeler. Banks it back to Wisniewski. Takes a look. There's a drive. There's the tip by Atkinson, and he did not miss by much. Now Atkinson around the edge, goes down low for Johnson. Looking for Winberg out in front. Still with it. Here's Johnson. Back to the line. Wisniewski on his backhand to Jack Johnson. Pressured. Here's Winberg. Looks. Tried one more pass. Instead of shooting, and Wisniewski's got it. Winberg steps in, stops up, half boards. Back to the line. Wisniewski's drive right on. Blocker saved by Hutchinson. Atkinson now takes the shot, and it's tipped wide by Dubinsky. They jam away the far post, and Hutchinson has it.
Atkinson has great speed. We've already witnessed that, and he's also got some nice hands. And a high tip by Atkinson creates a pretty good chance to score on the initial rush, or initial chance here in the power play there. Just misses the far side. And then this one does get through as well. It goes off a leg, and then just goes wide of the net as Dubinsky was parked in front. You can see why their power play is successful, though, with the amount of movement they get on it.
Some great shooters, too. There's Bogosian out of the box, and Hutchinson with another good save with traffic all around him. Snares it with a glove.
Winnipeg here have to win some defensive zone faceoffs, so they're going to get themselves in trouble. Another lost faceoff, and this time a shot through traffic, and somehow Hutchinson was able to find it, and there was no rebound on the play.
Little has been good in the face-off circle in this opening period. Gets it back to Trouba. His pass tipped down the ice and inside the blue line. Not for long. Back out to center. Racing back for it now is Thorburn. Wins that race. Trouba to Harrison, and that pass doesn't click, and that is going to be icing against the Winnipeg Jets.
The shot's 12-4 in favor of the Blue Jackets, but the pressure and speed early in the game here by Winnipeg gets them on the board, not once, but twice. There's an example of the forecheck, ends up in the back of the net, again in the neutral zone. Good pressure, good speed, creates a turnover, and then Kane throws it towards the net, a goal that Bobrovsky should have had to make it 2-0.
Winnipeg now with 47 first period goals. That is third most in the NHL. That pass just ahead of Jeremy Morin. Morin, who was in and out of the lineup in Chicago, now finds himself on the top line in Columbus. Opportunity knocks for a guy who was originally drafted by this franchise. Atlanta drafted him in the second round. Here's a chance out in front, and that pass sails past everybody. Bufflin flipped that puck up and in. Dalton Prost banks it off the boards where it's met by Scheifele. Scheifele tries to step in, but Dubinsky took the puck from him. Here's Kane on the loose puck. In front, Scheifele meets it on the far boards. Goes into the corner for Michael Foley, back to Bufflin, moves it across to Sherrod. His shot tipped, and a great glove save on that redirect by Sergei Bobrovsky to keep it 2-0. You're watching Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey.
In our player bio presented by Boston Pizza, it's Matt Calvert of the Blue Jackets, whose travel plans for the All-Star break won't take him very far, just 2 hours down the road to his home in Brandon, so he'll not be on the Blue Jackets charter home tonight. He needed 38 tickets for family and friends this evening, realized a dream when he made the Wheat Kings as an 18-year-old walk-on. His favorite player growing up, Marty St. Louis, because for his entire minor and junior career, Calvert was around the same size of St. Louis, about 5'8", 5'9", 160 pounds, but he grew 2 inches after the Jackets drafted him in the 5th round of the 08 draft, and now he's 5'11", 187-pound staple of the Columbus Blues lineup.
The guy was an 18-year-old walk-on in Brandon and ended up putting up big points for them, a 47-goal season, and went to a Memorial Cup with them as well. He's going to the Brandon game on Friday. They're taking on Prince Albert. So he's going to go check out the old barn. But tonight, here he is, down 2-0 along with his Blue Jackets to the Winnipeg Jets, who scored in their first 2 shots of the game. Here's Skilly now trying to jar that puck loose, and he does. Comes to center, and Jay Harrison sends it right back in. 4 minutes to go. David Savard, former major junior defenseman of the year, makes that first pass across for the test tube. And Jack Johnson stepping out, little backhand flip back to Skilly, and in. Skilly on that loose puck, throws it back to the near side for Wisniewski, was just outside the line. Wasn't expecting it, kind of waves it. Skilly says, my mistake.
Great goalies have the ability when they let a bad goal in to bounce back and come up with an extraordinary save to keep their team in it. And this is a good example here. Bobrovsky on the redirect right in front of him from Scheifele, and how about that glove save to keep this game at 2-0. That could have easily been in, and Bobrovsky would not have been faulted if it did go in on that particular redirect.
Of the many players who have suffered injuries this season for Columbus, Bobrovsky is one of them. Missed 8 games with a broken finger back in October and November. Hard Scheifele given a hard bump there by Anderson, causes the turnover, and here they come. Here's Anderson, couldn't receive that return feed from Dubinsky. He's got the puck now out front to Hardno. Hardno shoots. Hutchinson a save. Loose puck. They bang away, and it goes into the corner. Back to the line. Here is Connaughton. Connaughton to Hardno. Takes a look. Slap pass across. Wisniewski too hot to handle, but he stays with it, being pressured by Kane. Up high. Anderson with a drive that hits Dubinsky in front. Goes right to Hardno. Hardno. Anderson is shot blocked, and there's Kane to the line, not out. Wisniewski puts it back in there. Here is Hardno, back to Connaughton. Dubinsky waits for it down low, looking to center it. Wisniewski still out there. Here is Hardno. Watts into the corner. Takes a look, gives it to Jeremy Morin. Morin trying to cut it in front. Now he centers it and throws it all the way down the ice. And that's exactly what the Jets needed. They quickly change, and here comes Columbus back up there. Johansson almost stripped, gets it to Morin. Back to Ryan Johansson. Walks into the corner, turns back, now cuts in the middle, and he is tripped up, and the Winnipeg Jets are going straight back to the penalty box.
Yeah, it'll be loud. I believe he was in the area, Ed. Paul Maurice's group have stopped moving their feet ever since they scored their second goal. And that is why they've been in penalty trouble. And that's why they've been in their zone the entire second half of this first period of play-out. Shot now 14-5 in the period.
To this point in the season, Columbus has played 44 games. They have scored a power play goal in 31 of those. They look fairly dangerous in their first power play opportunity, just 3 shots. Johansson settles in to take the draw against Slater, pulls it back. And Slater with some good work to skate away. And it's a 2-on-1 short-handed. Slater in across. Oh, what a stop by Bobrovsky on the back door on Blake Wheeler. Great save. Here come the Jackets. Back the other way. They'll reset. Johansson straight to the middle, carries it in. Had it poked away. In support is Foligno. Foligno gets that back. Calvert in the high slot. Down low, they try to get it to Foligno, and this is fired up and out.
Hit a stick in the way, so the face-off will be outside, no penalty. Bobrovsky again, the battle in his game is unbelievable after letting that one Kane goal in. This can't happen for the Blue Jackets. You can't have a 2-on-1 short-handed against you all the way for your own zone when you have the power play, and they are saved by the goaltender, period. As Bobrovsky, with that wonderful agility, gets across in a desperation save, and Wheeler would like to have that one back. Just give me another foot to get it over his pad, and it would have been 3-0.
Wheeler's already got 2 shorthanded goals, was looking at number 3, and it was stolen there by the Russian netminder. Here's Atkinson now. Makes a move of the line, drops it off to Kevin Connaughton. Connaughton goes back to Savard. Savard has got a heavy shot back there. Puck is bouncing around. Here's Connaughton. He can fire it as well. Gets it to David Savard. Into the corner. This is Brandon Dubinsky. Savard across to Connaughton. His snapshot is partially deflected, and the Jets with a chance to clear, and they do. 1 minute to go in the first period. Jack Johnson now. There's 4 goals in the season for him, 2 of them on the power play. Drops it back to Atkinson quickly into Dubinsky. Walks in and he fired it wide. What a chance there for Dubinsky, who scored Monday against Minnesota. Here's Hardnall now. Hardnall back to the line. One-timer was Wisniewski. That's blocked in front. And to Frolik, who has 3 shorthanded goals. Nothing cooking there, so he just dumps it in. Johnson pressured by Wheeler. Here is Foligno now. One last rush for the Jackets. Banked in there, Foligno. Angled off by Slater and sent back down by Dustin Byfuglien. Ladd steps out of the box. No shots on that power play for Columbus. Best chance was at the other end, and that does it for the first period of play. Tippers flare just a little bit as time expires in the opening period. But it is 2 quick goals, one by Wheeler and another one by Kane. 2 goals, 5 minutes apart, and the Winnipeg Jets have a 2-0 lead as we send you back to Hockey Central and Darren Millard.
Welcome back. Wheeler and Kane scored, and the Jets had a 2-0 lead on Columbus just over 6 minutes in, and that's how we start the second period here at MTS Center. Injuries are a part of the game, but what the Jackets went through at the start of the season had a cruel and unusual appearance to it. 10 regulars out. Man games lost, 3 times as many as the Jets, who themselves had significant injury problems. Todd Richards this morning recalled the game against Ottawa in which he lost Anisimov, Letestu, Wisniewski, and the next morning the goaltender Bobrovsky was hurt in practice. And there's a welcome deletion from the Jets injury list. Jacob Trouba playing his first in 16 tonight. You can make the playoffs in October. You can't make the playoffs in October, I should say, but you can miss them, and that may be what happened to Jarmo Kekalainen's Blue Jackets, who lost 15 of 17 at one point. They did go 10-1-1 in December, but they'd need another month or 2 of that to have any chance, Dave.
Well, since the beginning of December, Scott, they are 14-6-1, the 5th best record in the NHL. But you're right, the hole was very, very deep. They were sitting with just 6 wins on November 29th. Now they're down by 2 here against the Winnipeg Jets, but they pushed back pretty good there in that first period, don't you think, Greg?
They were the better team, but the scoreboard doesn't tell you that.
And that's what counts. Flipped in towards Hutchinson. He watches it go by. There's Anderson giving a bump down low by Scheifele. Mark Scheifele chips it off the boards, gets it away to Zach Bogosian. Off the glass and out. Back to get it is James Wisniewski. Long lead pass for Johansson. Johansson stops up, puts it towards the net. Rebound after the initial stop by Hutchinson, and it goes into the corner. Nick Foligno, who will be one of the captains for the All-Star festivities. Here comes Wheeler, trying to break away. Wheeler stops up, dishes off, Byfuglien shoots, and Bobrovsky got just enough of that one as the rebound trickles through him. Now long lead pass, up ahead, trying to corral it. There is Atkinson, gets it away to Johansson. He goes across, down low is Foligno. Foligno deep in the corner, watched by Sherratt. And Little gets it away to Dustin Byfuglien. Byfuglien has not been missing many of those chances of late. 3 goals, 6 assists in his last 9 games. Bobrovsky's made some stops here. This could be 4-0. And that is icing.
2 in the late in the second period, and then moments ago on Byfuglien. And here are the Jets now. They win the pinch. Right now, everybody's in good shape here defensively for Columbus. However, Byfuglien beats his forward all the way up to the ice. And then look what he does. And this is what great players can do that have this skating ability. He can skate himself out of trouble, skate himself into trouble initially, and then skate himself out of trouble to get back the way he did defensively. And there's a penalty again for the Winnipeg Jets. That's 3 in a row.
3 in a row for the most penalized team in the NHL. As Trouba goes to the box. It's been a much talked about subject here in Winnipeg, but Paul Maurice says, you know what, we're not going to change the style we play. He's accepting it as part of who we are.
Yeah, he won't like that one, though. I mean, that's a neutral zone play where Trouba gets caught a little flat-footed, and particularly when you're playing against one of the top power plays in the National Hockey League.
A power play which is 0 for 2 so far tonight. 3 shots for the man advantage, all coming in their first opportunity. Clean face-off win. Here's Dubinsky. His shot into traffic. Puck goes up in the air, bounces around, and Dubinsky gets it back to the line. Just held there by Connaughton, but his pass across gets away from Savard. Resetting at center ice. Dubinsky. Savard crowded by Byfuglien, and that goes up and out. It was tipped by Byfuglien, and that face-off is staying inside. Well, this weekend, the NHL's best aim to entertain. Don't miss the All-Star Skills Competition, Saturday, 6:30 Eastern, and then the NHL All-Star Game, Sunday at 5 Eastern on CBC. In Columbus, Ohio. Face-off controlled by the Jackets. Walking the line, backing up there is Savard. He'll go across, get the return feed. One-timer misfired, and it goes right to Connaughton. Connaughton, who once played here in this building for the Manitoba Moose, has got the puck. Tries to settle that in front, and there is Frolik to break it up, but he can't get away from the check there of Atkinson. Savard holds the line, goes across to Kevin Connaughton. Into the corner he goes. There is Slater now taking over, and they can't get it out again. Now they do. Off the stick of Jay Harrison. Shots are 15-7 in favor of Columbus. Savard. Not quick enough to get away from Kane at the end of the shift there, but they do gain the zone. Here's Johansson. Goes back and forth with Wisniewski. Back to James Wisniewski. To Johnson. Johnson steps in. No lane to shoot. Curls back. Now to the high slot for Hartnell, and he missed on that one-timer. Ryan Johansson. Back to Wisniewski. Up to Johansson now. Into the slot for Hartnell. Back to Wisniewski. Johansson. Wisniewski. His shot hit wide. There's Foligno on the loose puck. Back to Ryan Johansson. Johansson snaps one, and he missed on the glove side. Wide and gone. Just 6 seconds to go in this Columbus power play. Their third of the night. Up ahead for Halushuk. Halushuk now tries to drive towards the net, and the power play is over, so the penalty killers do it again for Winnipeg. Here's Johnson at center. Stepping in. Jack Johnson in there, and he fired it up and over the net. Good rush by the veteran defenseman. Adam Lowry tries to chip it in there. Rubbed out by Fedor Tyutin. Tyutin, a long-time member of the Blue Jackets in his 7th season in Ohio. Up to Anderson. Anderson. Pass to Ruck. And it's back to center. Here's Lowry with some room. Lowry snapshot. And then it's easy pickings for Bobrovsky.
Well, both teams activating their defense a little bit here in the second period. And this time it's Columbus's turn as Jackson, in a little give and go, will take off through the middle of the ice and come up with a pretty good move that just fails to work as he misses the net. Now, when you've worked that hard to get in a scoring position, although there was a stick in the play, you got to get at least a chance to make the goalie move and get the puck on net. And that's happened a few times in this game. Byfuglien's been in as well, where he's missed the net in a perfect scoring position.
Shot wide of the mark, comes near side for Trouba, who loads up, and that hit Wenberg. Scores! Rebound! Blast from Harrison, and it is 3-0 Winnipeg. A bounce goes right to Harrison, and he buries it. And the Jets have a 3-goal lead.
That's a huge goal for Winnipeg, who are struggling a bit in the second half of the first period. But the puck battle is won, and the puck will go back to the point, not once, but twice, hits legs, and then it becomes a shooting gallery as the puck just arrives right on the stick of Harrison. And I believe he's going to get credit for that goal as it went through a maze of legs through Bobrovsky, who never really saw it.
That is 3 goals on 9 shots.
But a bit of a break as the puck hit a leg on the other point shot and ended up right on Harrison's stick, and he just blasted home.
Wenberg got that in the back of the leg as well. Here's Frolik, who steps in. Michael Frolik to Kane, trying to make a move, and the puck is sent around the boards where it's met by Kane. They're right back in there, centering attempt for Scheifele, and it hops over his stick. Harrison does get credit for his 4th of the season, equaling his total from all of last year with Carolina. Here's Wisniewski, steps up. Connaughton with a drive, does not get far. It's backed up ahead, and now Frolik's got a break. Trying to race away. Michael Frolik in there. Stop, rebound, and Bobrovsky makes 3 stops on a wave of Jets chances and keeps it out and keeps his team in this game.
Connaughton gets caught at the blue line, and that sends Frolik off to the races. And again, you talk about the battle in Bobrovsky. I mean, he's made 3 or 4 big saves, but this game would be out of reach at this point. There's the block that doesn't work. 1, 2, 3 saves as Bobrovsky in perfect position to not only make the first save, but Rob Kane and Scheifele coming in late.
The assists on the Harrison goal go to Trouba and Peluso, the 4:45 mark, after the Jets killed off another Columbus power play. Now here comes Johansson trying to step in, throws it across, and that was in front of Nick Foligno. Little, lead pass up for Wheeler. Into the middle, Wheeler still with a puck. Lost his footing, gets back up, and then just dumps it into the corner.
Topic.
Ben Sherratt has his pass, bounced right to Columbus, and that draws everybody offside. So the Winnipeg Jets on home ice, trying to make it 5 straight wins, up by 3. We're all set for the 2015 CHL Top Prospects game. Team Orr with assistant coach Doug McLean faces Team Cherry with his assistant coach Nick Kypreos. Connor McDavid headlines this year's crop tomorrow at 7 on Sportsnet from St. Catharines, Ontario.
Let's look at this third goal one more time. Harrison with the initial shot misses the net, but ends up right on Trouba's stick. And what happens? It hits a leg and then ends up right back on Jay Harrison's shot, or stick rather, and he blasted through traffic. And for Bobrovsky, I mean, I'm not sure he found the first shot from Trouba, let alone the second one as it arrived coming from the other side of the ice.
On the boards it goes, in behind the net is Calvert's. Calvert's stripped to the puck, and now it is Thorburn on his backhand to the line, held by Proud, who fires it right back in there. Here is Skilling. Skilling angles off his man, drops it off for Fedor-Tutin. He'll send it back in deep for Calvert, tries to step out, but Lowry leans on him. Calvert cycles it back. There is Wenberg. Wenberg walks out of the corner, gets it back to the line, and Prout fanned on that attempt, and it just comes outside. That goes up and out of play. Play whistle down.
Facing a compromising situation? We can help. Apply today at wiserfund.ca. No purchase necessary, must be legal drinking age.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets, who early on in the season were not an offensive juggernaut, have really picked up in the goal-scoring department, especially of late. They've scored 4 or more in 5 of their last 6 games. And they've got 3 on the board tonight at the, not even at the halfway mark. Here's Peluso on the near boards, gets it away to Toby Edstrom. Puck goes in there, left for Peluso, chopped away from him, and Foligno with a lead pass. Trying to skate into it now is Corey Trop. Slater met him. Trop, here's Foligno now, out of the corner. Nick Foligno tries a sneaky one out of the corner, and Hutchinson has been ready for everything all night.
Well, the Jets just coming off 7-11 nights on Sunday, and they've been slipping a little bit, but they've been winning. And there's an old cliche in hockey, pretty old but pretty true. Good teams find ways to win, even though they may not be clicking on all cylinders. And the Jets, their goals against have gone up a little bit. They've had some games where they've had to battle away to get points, but the bottom line is they've been getting points.
This is the 3rd time this season they've put together at least a 6-game run of games with at least a point. Here's Frolik in the high slot, got a shot away, and it goes just wide of the net. Bobrovsky is down, and he is hurt.
This is the story of the Blue Jackets season. You heard Scott Oak talk about it. At one point, there were 11 players, regulars, out of the lineup. And they have been dealing with this all season. Bobrovsky, as you mentioned earlier, out already this year. And at the moment, it looks like he's down again. And Kekalainen, the general manager, John Davidson beside him, the president of the team, shaking their head in disbelief, as is their coach. Look at them. They can't believe it. And what happened on this play? I mean, Bobrovsky here. Everything seems all right. Reaches for that save with his left pad and obviously yanked his groin. And he is on his way off, getting a nice hand from the crowd. And there'll be no All-Star game for Bobrovsky. You can bet on that.
And that's a real tough extra kick in the pants for Bobrovsky, as this puts definitely his All-Star appearance in jeopardy. He is leaving.
No, not in jeopardy.
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
done. Forget about it. They won't even chance it for a second. And John Davidson's done such a great job building a management team, building a real nice team that, in my opinion, if they were healthy, would be a playoff team this year. But frankly, their season was over in October, as they just didn't have a full team to ice. In fact, they had to ice an American League team at the time. As we take one more look at it, there was the stretch. Pretty clear that he is in pain and in trouble right away. Curtis McElhinney now gets the assignment, a very capable goaltender. When he comes in, he does a nice job, but he's not Bobrovsky.
His last appearance was last Saturday, allowing just 1 goal against on 35 shots at Boston, a win that the Blue Jackets feel was their best game of the season. And he was between the pipes for it, so he's called into emergency duty here. Here's a loose puck in front. Johansson with a backhander, weak and wide.
And they still have Jenner out. They still have an Isamov out, who's close, apparently.
Ryan Murray.
And Nathan Horton, who may never play again. And those are 4 regular NHL players.
Here's Little with a drive, and McElhinney is forced to make his first stop. And he hangs on for the faceoff.
So it's always tough for a goaltender to come in cold. And McElhinney came in relief earlier in the season, did a pretty nice job when Bobrovsky was hurt. And as I mentioned, he's a very capable National Hockey League goaltender and a good one.
Former draft pick of the Calgary Flames back in 02. 10 wins last season, career highs for him, backing up Bob. Here's Enstrom now. He's going to step in, tries to center it, as the Jets will no doubt go for the jugular here. The goalie coming off the bench on a night when nothing seems to be going right for a Columbus team that had been getting better and getting some results.
Well, they were getting healthy. Not 100%, but healthy.
Here's Calvert waiting for that puck down low. Enstrom watching him. Wraparound attempt by Skilly. And that goes to the sideboards and away from the net. Haluschuk giving a hit there by Winberg. Puck gets in there. And Prout has it. Here's Haluschuk. Determined forecheck by this fourth line tonight. There's TJ Gagliardi, a guy who was put on waivers and cleared them here in Winnipeg and is back in the lineup. Jacob Trouba. That pass gets past everybody, and that is going to be icing against Winnipeg.
And with that start, and with their injuries, the Blue Jackets, who had a great run last year down the stretch, got into the playoffs, were highly entertaining in their first round, are done. They are out. 13th in their conference. They can forget about this year in terms of playoffs.
And they were kind of one of the it teams that everybody was watching out of the gate. There's Johnson, snaps a shot, and Hutchinson makes the stop. Everybody wanted to see if Columbus could build on the momentum. It was their first season playing in the East, and they took a lot of teams by surprise because it was a team that played that heavy Western Conference style, and there they were kind of hitting a lot of teams in the mouth in the Eastern Conference. Clean face-off win back to Savard. Savard's bank shot off of the inboards, corralled by Hutchinson.
And I can tell you, next year, if they get healthy and get everybody back, they'll be right back in the middle of it in the Eastern Conference. I mean, it's a shame players like Nick Foligno, who has, ties his career high in goals already at 18. He's had a wonderful season with 41 points. That's a bright spark. Ryan Johansson, of course, he's been on fire, had another wonderful season. He's a bright spot. Dubinsky, they got a lot of good pieces on this team. They just need to get them all in the lineup at one time.
They've got some pieces coming, too. We're talking about Wenberg, who was a first-round draft pick, one of 3 that they had the year that he was drafted in 2013. The others being Marco Dano and Kirby Reichel, both of whom who have played this season.
I'm just going to find myself. I swore I'd never call a hockey player a policeman. I just did it. One of my least favorite things to do, and I just contradicted myself.
He'll be fine for that. For the Kangaroo Court that we have down in the truck. And the Jets, there is Dustin Byfuglien. He will be going to the All-Star game. He started this season as a forward, going to Columbus as a defenseman. What a remarkable story that has been, as he was sent back to defense out of necessity when they ran into all those injuries, and now Paul Maurice says he's not going anywhere, even with all the defensemen getting healthy. Sharp pass across to Brian Little. Little stepping in there down the right side, throws it back for Wheeler. Got a goal tonight. Wheeler shoots, rebound, and the wraparound attempted, almost finishing on the back door. There was Wheeler. Across to Byfuglien. His one-touch pass intercepted by Dubinsky, and here is Nick Foligno. Foligno trying to charge in past Byfuglien. That's not happening, and here comes Wheeler again. 2-on-1 chance. Wheeler getting that puck to sit down. Drops it off. Quick drive by Byfuglien, and McElhinney got a piece. Delayed penalty call coming up against the Jackets. Down low, into the corner, up high, and that will get the whistle, and a hooking call against Columbus. Winnipeg power play when we come back to Wednesday night hockey.
It's all the little details that have made Byfuglien a better defenseman as far as I'm concerned since going back in that position. Here's a real good read here. He just steps up right there. Boom. Strips the play, and then a counterattack. And what does that do? Create speed to the neutral zone and draws a penalty. All because of a smart play by Byfuglien, and then he finishes it with a chance to score. And here's a look at the hook one more time, and the Jets are on their first power play of the game.
0 for 3 in their last game against Arizona. There's Byfuglien with a blast that's tipped wide in front of the net. Loose puck up the boards, corralled by Ladd, gets it to Enstrom. Colby Enstrom walking in there. Taking a check around, Ladd throws it back to the line. Byfuglien quickly moves it down for Little. Little down low for Blake Wheeler. Wheeler to Enstrom. Over to Byfuglien, and here is Little. Back down in front, here's Enstrom. Shoots, blocker save, and a nice one by McElhinney. Across, Enstrom one-timer, and he missed near side, and that caught the netting in behind McElhinney, and play his whistle down.
Teuton's broken his skate blade.
I was wondering what was on the ice.
So he was kind of right out of it here on this particular power play. This was actually even a better situation for the Winnipeg Jets if they would have been able to read it. And there's Byfuglien's initial shot. And there goes the blade. And then after that, a real opportunity for the Jets in the power play if they would have been able to understand what happened. And Teuton trying to get off the ice now. Whoops! Now he'll get up. That's not working so well.
He did a pretty darn good job staying on his feet. He wasn't down on one knee.
The double runners weren't working.
1:23 to go, this Jets power play, and that faceoff is won by the Jackets and sent down the ice. Byfuglien watching for Calvert, in the eye to him, gets it back to Scheifele, gives it to Kane, back to Mark Scheifele. Walking out in front of his own net, there's Byfuglien, and gets it away to Evander Kane, who's got a goal tonight. Into the high slide, curls back, stops up, gets it to Toby Enstrom. Enstrom corrals the puck in for Scheifele, back to Enstrom. Enstrom across to Byfuglien, into the middle, looking for the tip from Kane. Good work by Dubinsky to sweep it down. Randy Dubinsky did not play until early December. He had abdominal surgery during training camp. And he's just starting to get his game going, and he's played a lot tonight and will down the stretch. And that is offside with 28 seconds to go in the Winnipeg power play. Well, do you love hockey? You can watch it on Canada's fastest internet. as named by PCMag.com.
Now this power play a little bit out of sync right now with Perreault in the lineup. He was such an integral part of the half-boards play on the power play for Winnipeg, and when he gets back, which we're hoping after the All-Star break, this power play should fire up. But at the moment, it's not quite running on all cylinders the last couple of games since his injury.
This was a power play that was right down near the bottom of the league until they came to life with a couple of power play goals in late November against this team, against the Blue Jackets. And since then, they've been running at about a 30% clip, so something woke up, but not tonight, at least not on that power play attempt, which is now over.
That's about as much on the power play as they had going Sunday as well. Not a lot of chances on it, not much going on.
Here's Hartnell now, steps in over the line. Throws it out in front, Atkinson toe drag. Hutchinson holds his ground and makes the stop after a nice little move by Cam Atkinson.
I love the patience on this Hutchinson kid. I mean, another example there where he didn't chase the game. He waited for Atkinson to come to him and then just calmly just moved across the crease in a half step. And closes up the 5-hole and tightens right up. And this is good patience because all of a sudden Atkinson appears in front of him after he moved around Trouba a little bit. He looks a little bit rusty in this game after missing considerable time because of an injury.
All the Calder Trophy talk about Johnny Gaudreau and Aaron Ekblad and Philip Forsberg. Don't forget about Hutchinson. He's had an excellent season here in Winnipeg. Savard surrounded by a couple of Jets, and it comes free for Chris Thorburn. Thorburn on his backhand shovels it back to Big Buff. Bufflin feathers that one in there. Here is Lowry. Has the puck taken away by Johnson. And then he leans in on Jack Johnson, but Johansson's got it the other way. Trying to make a move on Bufflin, pokes off with his stick. Here comes Lowry now, 2-on-1, shoots, rebound, scores! Thorburn buries it, and the Jets are in full flight tonight at the MTS Center.
Well, again, Bufflin starts this play off with some pretty strong defensive play. But I also want to circle Lowry because he went on the forecheck and really gave Johnson a ride. Here's the great stick by Bufflin that creates the counterattack. But he went in, Lowry, and gave him a real good ride. And when he did that, here's the play. Bang, right to the right of your screen. Now, Lowry will be coming late back into the play because of that hit. Here's the play by Bufflin and then the goal afterwards.
And then another chance right away off the opening, or the face-off following that goal. They're right back in there. Lowry draws the assist and the goal by Thorburn, his 4th of the season, and everybody's getting into it tonight. Harrison scored, Kane, Wheeler, and now Chris Thorburn. Back inside the Jet zone. Bagging and crashing out of the corner with it is Anderson. Puts it towards the net. Hutchinson looking for it. It goes into the corner. Scheifele trying to dig that free. Foligno joins the party, puts it back to the line. That's intercepted right in front of him by Michael Foley. Bogosian sends it in, and that line will change up. Under 5 minutes to go, second period. On the last night prior to the NHL All-Star break, both of these teams will not play again until next Tuesday. Winnipeg's hitting the road. 4 of the next 5 are away from this building. Letestu is up there, so is Corey Trop. Trying to lean on things with Trouba, but it comes free for Harrison. Harrison got it free to Slater. Got a little bank pass up to Gagliardi. Following up now is Peluso. Peluso is stripped, and Columbus will try back the other way. Johnson dumps it in. Hutchinson. Lots of time to make the play, but it took a bounce strangely back out of the play there, but Trouba was ready for that. Another turnover, Calvert with a drive, and Hutchinson is there with a stop, and there is no rebound. He has been rock solid at that end, and the Jets have 4 goals at the other.
let's revisit the Thorburn goal because it's all about Lowry really on this play. He made great contact behind the net. Boom, there on Johnson. Now he'll come back into the screen. Buffin with that fine stick to break up an offensive rush chance. And guess who ends up with the puck? Lowry, after being physically involved, gets the shot on goal, and then the rebound comes right out to Thorburn and makes no mistake. And that gives the Jets the 4-0 lead. And the youngster, when he gets engaged physically, his game elevates.
The 21-year-old is born in St. Louis when his father Dave was playing there for the Blues.
Played with him there. And it's so nice to see his son in the National Hockey League. It's great for me. It's fun.
Doing a heck of a job, too.
His dad doing a nice job also coaching out here at Western Junior Hockey Victoria.
In Victoria, was part of the gold medal winning coaching staff as well, the World Juniors. Penalty call coming up here. This is going to go against the Jets, and Columbus is going to get another crack with a man advantage. As Wisniewski carries it out and comes near side for Connaughton. And is whistled down as the penalty call is made.
And another penalty to the Jets as they keep waltzing to the penalty box. Little chip and chase by Lowry in good position, but then there's the free arm out. And he hauls down Wisniewski, and he's in the box for 2 or less. And he's been in there a couple times tonight.
Yeah, his second trip to the box for the captain. Their leading scorer entering action tonight. For Columbus, their 4th power play attempt, they're 0 for 3. Johansson settles in to take this drop. Ryan Johansson, who just saw his 13-game point streak come to an end on Monday. The longest streak in the NHL this season. And a franchise record to go along with a 10-game point streak that he had to open up the season. Here's Johnson. Off to Wisniewski. Drops it off for Johansson to Foligno. Got crowded, and now it's loose for Johansson. Trying to cut back inside and lost control of the puck. To say the wind is out of the Blue Jacket sails would be an understatement. Here's Wheeler now, breaking that one loose and trying to barge his way in there short-handed. And he could not get away, and now it's a penalty against Columbus. A tripping call, power play is over.
Foligno doesn't like it, but he got caught flat-footed. And Wheeler, with that size and strength, just took off. And we got a little 4-on-4 hockey for 1:12. And then the Jets will have a very short power play opportunity. And there is the trip. Clearly a penalty as Wheeler was off to the races and gone short-handed.
Blake Wheeler, who entered tonight with 1 goal in his last 11 games. He scored early, 1 minute and 8 seconds into this contest. Soon followed by Kane, and they were off and running. And they win that draw. Controlled at the point there by Bufflin. Down the boards it goes, where this is met by Toby Enstrom. Here's Scheifele being watched there by Connaughton. Enstrom trying to keep it in there against Brandon Dubinsky. And Columbus goes to reset. Here is Connaughton now. Connaughton being pressured. Look out, it rolls out in front. And diving on that one is Curtis McElhinney. Take you back downstairs to Scott Oak.
Dave, Jets GM Kevin Cheveldayoff's never made a player-for-player trade, but who's to argue with the way the Jets are playing now that sticking to the draft-developed blueprint is not paying off? Gone are players like Andropov, Jokinen, in our draft picks like Scheifele, Sherratt, Lowry, Trouba. That said, there will be an expectation if the Jets are in a playoff spot at the deadline that Cheveldayoff will do something to bolster his lineup. If the deadline was tomorrow, he'd be looking for a top-9 forward. What he won't do is trade prospects like Morrissey, Patan, Comrie, or Ehlers. So maybe we're going to see a hockey deal at the deadline. Who's to know?
Well, they're comfortably right now in a wild card playoff position. Here's Trouba with a blast right on. They've been in a playoff spot for a couple of months now.
I would suggest if he's not willing to part with any of those young players, you're not going to see a hockey deal. Because that's what teams are going to be asking for if he's looking for that high a player in terms of the forward position as we look at McElhinney with a pretty good save from the point. And I don't blame him. You got a pretty good group here We got a lot of future coming. I don't think it's a Stanley Cup team yet. So sit tight and continue to grow your organization. Don't panic and don't let the market dictate what you really need to do to be successful.
It's funny, this is not Toronto. It's not the big bright lights and all that. Media isn't quite as dominant in terms of numbers. But this is a very passionate fan base, and they really want to see some progress in the playoffs here. Here's Johnson, drops it off, and overskating it was Atkinson, and it's turned back the other way.
Getting in would be a huge accomplishment and a real nice progression to this organization's growth moving forward.
Missed the playoffs last season, finishing 11th in the West, 7 points out of a playoff spot. 7 consecutive years this franchise has missed. They've only made it once in franchise history. That was back in 07 when they were back in Atlanta. Here comes Trouba. In the final minute now, the second period, they go across, and Little back in for Wheeler, passing behind him. Ladd. Here's Bogosian now. Zach Bogosian with a shot, looking for a tip. Goes into the corner. And that is up and out of play. Face-off will stay inside the blue line.
And you know, it's interesting. The perception around the league when you talk to other managers and coaches, they like this Winnipeg team just the way it is. In fact, they all say if they get in with their size and speed, we're going to be a handful in the playoffs. And really, nobody wants to play them in the first round, believe me, if they get in.
Ask the Chicago Blackhawks if they want any part of it. They've beaten them 3 times in Chicago. Out of the corner now is Little. Little goes across to Enstrom. Enstrom with the pass in front for Ladd. Off of his stick. Into the corner again. Here's Ladd. One-timer. Great stop by McElhinney. And shoveled out as Foligno steps out of the box. Near side now, Winberg. Alexander Winberg centers it, looking for the tip from Letestu. Here's Wisniewski with a drive. Rebound pushed into the corner where Enstrom is on it. Final couple of seconds up for Wheeler. Wheeler flips that one in, and time will expire. And we are 40 minutes into the game, and the Winnipeg Jets get 2 more on John Davidson and Jarmo Kekalainen's team. It's been a long night and a long season, a little longer for the Blue Jackets. Down by 4 against the Winnipeg Jets as we take you back to Hockey Central and your host, Darren Millard.
Welcome back to MTS Center in Winnipeg as we continue with Wednesday night hockey on Sportsnet. Jets 20 minutes of regulation time away from a season-high 5-game win streak as they lead Columbus 4-0 heading for the 3rd. And on this play, there went Sergei Bobrovsky's scheduled appearance in this weekend's All-Star game in his home city of Columbus. So Michael Hutchinson's looking at his 14th win of the season tonight. His impressive 2.0 goals against and his .932 save percentage will improve, and some have him in the Calder Trophy conversation. Could he be honored before season's end, as Hutchinson might be on the list of potential replacements for Bobrovsky? Tuukka Rask's name has been mentioned, but apparently he has plans to be in Bora Bora. I read that on Twitter, and why wouldn't you believe everything that you read on Twitter? Maybe Henrik Lundqvist is available, but why not Hutchinson? Imagine that story from the ECHL, where he was around about this time last year, to the All-Star game. It could happen.
What do you think, Millsy?
Well, it depends what the other goalies in the league are doing. If their travel plans are already booked, they have something to do with it. I mean, Henrik Lundqvist for sure. Braden Holtby, another name.
Josh Anderson up on the puck, trying to throw it out in front. And there is Jack Johnson getting back to the line for Hartnell. His wrist shot knocked down. Anderson with a rebound, and Hutchinson another good stop on Josh Anderson. Still looking for his first NHL points.
Throw Craig Anderson into that mix too. He's had a marvelous season with a .927 save percentage.
Bora. We got to talk to our reporter down there. Veteran reporter. Here's Savard, throws it back, ends up back to the line. Here's Hartnell with a blast, blocked by Thorburn.
I thought he was going there. Oh no, he's going to Columbus, that's right.
Hutchinson stops it up in behind his own net to Dustin Byfuglien, who we know is going for the Jets, their lone representative. Here's the captain, Andrew Ladd.
Yeah, I gotta get off.
For the Winnipeg Jets, it's been a couple of seasons since they won 5 in a row. Last time was April of 2013. And they are 18 and a half minutes away from getting a 5-game win streak heading into the break. Here's Johansson, cuts in on his backhand, drops it back to Connaughton. Connaughton steps in, shoots. Hutchinson reaches out, tries to cover up, and does, with Foligno jabbing away, looking for a loose puck.
Well, he's been steady, hasn't he? Hutchinson's had a good night, and he's been able to find pucks through traffic. His defense have done a pretty nice job of boxing out players in front, and this is a good example of it here. As Foligno loves to park himself in front, but he has no chance at that rebound attempt because of Wheeler pushing him away and letting Hutchinson find the loose puck in front of him.
Started the sharing the net on November 13th with Ondrej Pavelec. Since then, just 3 losses in regulation since the middle of November. For the most part, it's been a back-and-forth rotation between he and Pavelec. Pavelec, who had a great game last week against Dallas, making 46 saves. Here's Kane on the side boards. Throws it across for Scheifele. Scheifele sends it in. Over the stick there, McElhinney, who stops that one. Big rebound in front. Tootin is there just in time.
Add Frederick Anderson to that list of goalies. There's a whole bunch of them you could take.
Here's Jack Skilly now, trying to make a power move to the net.
I know one thing, I won't be Bobrovsky. Not a chance. They will not risk that, and he may be out for an extended period of time. Although it's tough to play doctor from up here, but it didn't look very good.
Scheifele in a collision there in the neutral zone with Trop. Here's Letestu in behind the net. Try to center it out in front. Hargo corrals it, throws it back to Savard. Savard sends it back in there for the former Buffalo Sabre, Trop. Here's Johnson stepping in. Throws it out in front, and once again, Hutchinson on it, covers it, and hangs on.
These are tough games now because at this point, with a 4-0 game, these players and their focus are thinking perhaps about their flight tomorrow to a warm spot. And that's just human nature, believe me. Been there in this situation. And all the players looking forward that aren't participating in the All-Star game to getting away, getting a break, getting their bodies rested, and preparing themselves for the stretch run. And that means S-U-N, sun.
And rest. This Winnipeg Jets team plays a taxing style physically. They play hard, they hit, they fight, they grind away. And Paul Maurice knows that, so he wants his guys to, as Wheeler takes a shot, wants them to get some rest, most importantly, whether it's sunny or not. Here's Byfuglien all the way around the edge. Dustin Byfuglien gets it away just in time to Sherratt and gets it back. Big Buff's going for a skate here. Here's Little out in front. It deflected to Sherratt, and his shot is knocked down. Here's Foligno now. Being watched all the way down the ice by Ladd. Foligno drops it off in towards the net, snared once again by Hutchinson. 4 minutes into the third.
Byfuglien's been a real focal point the last couple of weeks for the Winnipeg Jets, as he should be. He seems to know when to jump in at the moment. His anticipation is at a heightened level, and he's been great. And try and get the puck away from this guy. When he uses that big frame to his advantage and protects the puck with it the way he does. Pretty tough.
Big guy can skate, and he has been laying some devastating hits of late.
Well, you talk about the All-Star break. Jay Harrison, he's going to bring his family just to an area near here and do some snowshoeing, skiing maybe a bit. As he said, hey, my kids are used to North Carolina. They're going to have a different kind of holiday, and they're looking forward to the snow. So there's the other side of it. Of course, Jay coming over from the Carolina Hurricanes. He said they're Southern kids. They want to go out in the snow and play in the next few days.
There's a guy who knows how to enjoy his time in the NHL. He's 32 years of age, did not become a full-time NHLer until he was 28 years old after Carolina signed him as a free agent. He's found himself on a team here that seems to be trending upward, I think it's fair to say. More than fair at this point. Into the corner it goes, and Scheifele is there to pick it up. Saw Trop coming. He's been buzzing around in this third period. Here's Wenberg. Can't center it. And Bogosian is there. Takes a funny hop off the corner boards there. Right back to Bogosian. He'll go back and forth with Scheifele, and they'll start out. Andre Vander Kane. Kane has had some great moments this season. He's also had a suspension. He's had some injuries, and he falls short of that 50 goals that he set as a public goal when this season started, but certainly an important player for them going down the stretch. Alishchuk now in the corner along with Lowry. Thorburn battling for it. Letestu with a first pass out to Johnson. Johnson has skated miles our game tonight. He always does. Skilly turns it over to Harrison. Quickly up to Lowry. Lowry trying to step around Savard. He's a load. And Letestu back to David Savard. Back up to center, and there is Trouba. Here's Gagliardi. Just inside the line is TJ Gagliardi trying to step around his man. And now Hartnell chases that into the corner. Ends up back with Gagliardi. Hartnell now. Scott Hartnell is halfway to another 20-goal season, which is what he had last year in Philly. Bounce back here for him after just 8 goals the previous season. Here's Bufflin now, up for Gagliardi. High slot, save McElhinney with a glove, knocks it down. Cross-ice pass for Johansson. Johansson tried a little one-on-one move there against Ben Sherratt, and he dumped it. Back up to Ben Sherratt. Recently scored his first NHL goal in a game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Here's Prout now. Prout gets it away to Wenberg, who's going to go straight up the middle. Alexander Wenberg, wrist shot. Big rebound, bounces out in front, and Hutchinson alertly covers up on the carom in front of his own net. Michael Hutchinson controlling things to the back end. And that D standing up tall on Wednesday Night Hockey.
Welcome back to MTS Center in Winnipeg. It's a focal point of the downtown of this city. It's one of the busiest buildings in the country. There was a Bryan Adams concert here last night, one of the 140 or so events outside of Jets games this building hosts every year. MTS Center was recently ranked 26th on Stadium Journey magazine's list of the top 100 stadium experiences in North America. Never heard of the magazine, but 26 out of 100 sounds pretty good to me. The building was designed for easy load in, load out. The docking area can accommodate up to 6 trucks. So Winnipeg's now a staple on all major concert tours. The revenue from concerts well over $10 million annually. That's a nice head start on an NHL budget, Dave.
Certainly is.
They were probably bopping away here last night, Scott.
He was definitely saying cuts like a knife.
Had the lighter up going.
Doing the na-na-nas, for sure. I was asleep at the wheel. I blew it. I would have definitely gone. Found out too late. Where were you? You got to help me out. You got to give me a heads up on those things. No.
Tough to hear the airplane.
David Savard with a puck in the back end. And they come across to Brandon Dubinsky. Dubinsky's pass up to Anderson. Trying to get it back to Dubinsky, and that is broken up, and the Jets come away with a 3-on-1 chance. Trying to pile it on. In there is Wheeler, and he couldn't handle the pass across. Still with it. Blake Wheeler walking in on his backhand and curls back. Wheeler goes across. Great feed in there for Truman, and he tipped it just wide. Broken stick on the ice. Here's Little now. Little trying to get to the net. Bouncing puck, and it goes just past the post. And McElhinney will cover up.
Wheeler getting a good hand from the crowd here, as he should. What a shift. And he has dominated shifts at times throughout the season, like he just did here on this last one, where, again, another big body. He uses the puck, his body so well to protect the puck. and he just goats it to try and get it away from him. Winterman just walks through Columbus here, still has the puck, finally finds Trouba walking in the back door. That should have been a gift for Trouba, and then a beautiful setup from Wheeler.
Whoa! Byfuglien lowers the boom on Nick Foligno coming up those left side boards. Here's Johansson now, one hand on the stick, trying to get away from Scheifele, and Sherratt follows up. In behind him, now Johansson leans into Sherratt. Both of these teams in the top 5 in hits in the NHL. Wisniewski, backhand feed relieves the pressure. Foligno, no worse for wear after that big hit from Byfuglien. Into the middle for Scheifele. Near side for Kane. His drive. Long-range shot handled easily there by Curtis McElhinney.
All of a sudden, Byfuglien just decides to cream somebody into the boards. And this time it was Nick Foligno's turn. He gets smoked. Wow. That never feels very good. A good clean hit, shoulder hit. As Byfuglien has been involved in many different ways again tonight in this game.
3 hits tonight for Byfuglien, and the Blue Jackets are thankful for that. Relatively low number.
Normally when he hits, it's a big one.
Debris on the ice inside the Blue Jackets blue line.
And it's a nice story that his defense partner Ben Sherratt has had such a great start to his National Hockey League career. He spent a long time in the American Hockey League. He's told me this morning that last year's run to the AHL final was absolutely just a huge thrill for him and taught him so much about winning. And that with Charlie Huddy on the bench showing tremendous patience when he came up to the American Hockey League this year with him and eased him along, he said he has helped him so much. And Charlie, just a wonderful coach, and Ben is very lucky to have him.
Ben Sherratt last year with that Calder Cup run played a total of 87 games, one of them in the NHL. It was a combined plus 37. And he's plus 3 tonight. Here's Gagliardi out of the corner, sweeps it in front, and it's kicked aside by McElhinney. Met here by Enstrom.
Charlie Huddy with all that experience as a National Hockey League defenseman, and he's got that nice teaching style to him that really works well for young defensemen. He's a very patient man, and he's a teaching type of coach. Perfect guy for the Winnipeg Jets organization to teach their young defensemen.
Here's Matt Calvert. The Brandon boy with a pass in behind the net to Jack Skilly. Skilly walks out all the way around the edge, takes a shot. Good stop there by Hutchinson. Calvert again, can't cut in front. Up ahead to Slater, off the boards and out. Up ahead to Calvert again. Calvert, who had 2 goals in that win against the Bruins on the weekend. Here's Thorburn now in, and that's steered aside by McElhinney.
How good has this line been for Winnipeg tonight? They've been excellent.
Including Lowry setting up Thorburn for a goal. He's got him out in front again. Back to the line. Trouba moves it across to Harrison. Harrison to Thorburn up high. Harrison. Trouba. And players whistle down right in front of the net as a penalty has been called here. And Johnson is not one bit happy with Haluschuk.
Well, the trainer would have to go on net next.
Or you.
No, thank you.
I don't know, the GM sits down the hall, you know, he might get a lucrative one-game offer. Paul Maurice and the Winnipeg Jets. Larson in charge on home ice on a Wednesday night. Well, who would you pick first overall if you were an all-star captain? Here's your chance to vote on Twitter. Just head to @Sportsnet to make your pick in our Sportsnet poll. The all-star draft set to take place on Friday. You gotta love that format, don't you? Like, you know, road hockey, it's fun. Captains picking teams. Yeah. Plus, of course, you're the, you know, much talked about last guy, which I don't think is a big deal.
I don't like it. That part I don't like. Try the sticks in the middle like we used to do. Just pots them in each end. That was the best way to pick a team, wasn't it? You didn't know whose stick you were hurling. Maybe once in a while you did.
with the super blades. Remember those things you used to screw on the end of the stick there? Curve it on your mom's stove.
Now we're dating ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of young viewers going, what is he talking about? Their dads are all nodding, though. Here comes Kevin Cannon back the other way, into the line, drops it off for Anderson. Anderson snaps the shot, loose puck. Oh, what a stop by Hutchinson. Reaching out with that left pad to keep the shutout alive, and back they come the other way. Michael Hutchinson battling all night. Here's Johansson back into the middle. Foligno has the puck poked away. Reset to the back end. This crowd, nobody's left buzzing after that save. Here's Johansson now, stepping in. Up ahead's a little. Off his stick. Swatted back in by Prout. There's Sherratt. Wheeler giving a bump there by Dalton Prout. He spins back. Wheeler up there on Fitter Tootin, who gets away from him, comes cross ice to Cam Atkinson. Atkinson's had a chance or two tonight, and that is offside at the Winnipeg blue line. Michael Hutchinson, what a performance he's putting on tonight.
Well, right from the start of the game, he made a couple of early key saves when Columbus came out on fire, and there is just a beautiful reaction save on Dubinsky, and this is all about battle here. That's second effort. That's all that is. I mean, the first save, he has to come across, and he's been on all game long, but it's one of those saves where you just make out of grit and determination. And a beautiful second effort, and all you need is a little bit. Just a little bit of that puck to make a 10-beller, and Hutchinson found just enough with that left pad to fire it out and make a beauty.
Letestu puts it back to the line. Savard shot tipped just wide on its way through. Here's Skilly. Letestu shoots, and Hutchinson, as he's been all night, not allowing any rebound.
And the Jets here have checked out a little bit on him. I think they've already got their plane tickets going in. And at the moment, they're not really helping their goalie grab this you-know-what. And here is some work here of Hutchinson all game long. And so far, he has earned first star of the game the way he has played tonight. Man, is he been good. We haven't given it to him yet, but he's certainly a candidate.
Here's Lowry. Lowry goes up ahead. That pass just does not connect with Thorburn. Rolls down the ice. There's Haluschuk into the forecheck. Lowry's there as well. Matt Haluschuk tried to turn and shoot. Wisniewski stuck with him. There's Bogosian now. Goes across to Enstrom. Penalty call coming up against Columbus. Bogosian to Enstrom. Zach Bogosian into the corner for Lowry. Extra attacker comes on. There's Ladd creeping into the attack. Across. Ladd got away from him, and it's touched up. And now the Jets will have a power play.
There is the high stick that really never made it. Group a little bit upset with that call, and rightly so, as is Richards, as I don't think contact was made at all there on that play. But the Jets will take it and lead another 2 minutes off the clock or less for them.
Third power play chance of the night for the Jets. They're 0 for 2. And they win the draw back to Buffalo. Here is Little now, controlling things to the half boards. Ladd shoots, and he just missed the top corner. Set up there by Wheeler, who's got it now. Centers it out in front. Prout shovels that one down the length of the ice on his backhand to relieve the pressure. Here comes Bufflin now. His pass right onto the tape there of Wheeler. Wheeler in there, centers and Ladd, and coming across there is McElhinney with his pad to make a nice stop. And that one comes just outside the line. Good drive there by Blake Wheeler. High praise from his head coach this morning. Said this guy, his compete level is extremely high, night in, night out.
Yeah, he's turned out to be a real strong leader for this team. He leads by example. Talking to Andrew Ladd this morning about their leadership group, and he said, we're not a real vocal group, but we come to work every game, and certainly they do that.
Ladd throws it in front, just into the reach there of Frolik. Out of the corner is Enstrom. Ends up back at the point. There's Byfuglien, and it all cranked up, and his stick broke on that one-timer. Heads back to the bench. He's going to be replaced by Trouba with 42 seconds to go in the Winnipeg power play. Trouba keeps the play alive, gets it to Toby Enstrom. Enstrom watched by Wenberg. That one deflects up and over right in front of the Columbus net. Now it's met on the far boards by Enstrom. Toby Enstrom down low. There's Frolik. Frolik near side for Scheifele as the Jets spread it out. Moving in, snapping a shot, gets his own rebound. One-time attempt by Trouba, or rather Kane, and did not get all of that. And that one gets over the stick of Trouba.
Anything Ladd said, sorry, about the leadership of this group, he said, Paul Maurice came in and really provided structure for our team. And that's when he really noticed this team taking another step in terms of the way they approach the game in and game out.
Frolik throws it across. Jacob Trouba. Wrist shot goes off a skate of Foligno, and McElhinney is going to cover that up with 4 minutes and 36 seconds to go in Winnipeg on Wednesday night hockey.
Jets 4 minutes and 36 seconds away from a season-high 5-game win streak. Here's a look at a Twitter exchange between the Jets and Blue Jackets organizations. And you'd swear Columbus is somewhere near the equator. The Blue Jackets asking how cold it is here. The Jets responding with, we'll tell you if you don't use the term knit cap, known as a toque in these parts. Anyway, it's all in good fun. Columbus is only about a 20-hour drive from Winnipeg, so it's not that far south. The forecast high today there, 6 degrees Celsius, which means you probably didn't need a knit cap, and likely won't for All-Star Weekend. Dave.
You might though, Scott.
Yeah, he'll be bringing one anyway, right?
Cover up that lid. Absolutely.
Scott Oak with a prolific amount of stories tonight, by the way. He's our all-star tonight, for sure. Here is Ben Sherrod on that loose puck in the neutral zone. Steps in over the line and then just banks that one off of the end boards. Foligno knocks it back where Byfuglien is waiting for that. And here's Lowry sweeping it across, and that is chipped outside the line by Johansson. Picked up by Byfuglien, who's going to step in. Here comes Byfuglien. High slot, nowhere to shoot. Curls back, and then sweeps it back into the corner. Waiting for it is Gagliardi. Here's TJ Gagliardi. He'll step in front, and Foligno broke that up.
Lost in all this is McElhinney has come in and played very well for Columbus in relief, just letting the one goal in. And it's a tough job in this building the way Winnipeg has played, and he's done a nice job for Columbus here tonight.
Injuries rearing its ugly head again for Columbus. We have not seen Jeremy Morin, by the way, in the third period either. Not sure what his status is, but let's send you back to Sportsnet Central for an update. Here's Carly Agro and Jamie Thomas. Guys?
Well, thanks very much. We'll have highlights and analysis from the Jets and Jackets.
And the Leafs, their comeback, it came up short in Ottawa. Stick around. We'll see you after the game.
Thank you, guys. 3 minutes and 13 seconds remaining here until Jamie and Carly take over. Quick shot there by Hardnell. So I want to ask you, you know, we're not going to the All-Star break. The home stretch is upon us and upon this team, the Winnipeg Jets. Where do they need to get better?
They're pretty good right now. I mean, they got healthy. They've weathered the storm with all their injuries on the blue line. They're getting great goaltending. I just say come back with the same intensity level that they played with all season long. They're going to be just fine.
Across to Proud, hops over his stick.
And frankly, the fear is when you stop, you lose a bit of momentum when you're playing so well. When you're playing this well, you really don't want to stop. You just want to keep going. They'll welcome the rest, but
they kept their goals against down. They are 7th overall. They have not been any higher than 22nd in the last 3 seasons. So they've really improved in that department. Their goal scoring, as you can see, of late has been pretty high. And they have weathered a major storm on the back end with injuries. Trouba Just back tonight after missing 16 games. Getting his legs under him again here tonight. That one is met by Savard, and he did not hold the line. That is coming outside on the offside call.
Yeah, that was close. Savard doesn't like the call. I can tell you with these linesmen, 9 times out of 10, they're right, or even more than that. And folks in the truck tell me from our replay cameras we can't really tell, but from up here it looked like it was close.
As mentioned, the Winnipeg Jets will play 4 of the next 5 games on the road, starting next Tuesday night in Pittsburgh. Here's Harrison now, puts it up the boards. Foligno meets it and sends it right back in behind the net. Jacob Trouba spins back from the pressure, being watched there by Wenberg. And it goes back into the corner. Under 2 minutes to go.
Watch Trouba. He's such a good player. A little bit rusty in this game, but he's going to be huge for Winnipeg down the stretch.
Here's Foley. Sticking with him is Johnson. And he knocks him off the play as Evander Kane on the backside there and behind the play crashed into the end boards. And he is slowly making his way to the bench. Appear to just lose an edge. And Hutchinson will hang on with 1:17 to go.
This is not good news, as Kane has had one of those years, and he caught an edge just going to the net, and then went flying into the board. Oh, no, he got hooked. Get back. That's a tough play. Savard gave him a little hook right at the last second, right into the boards. And as I mentioned, Kane this season, he got hurt right the first game of the year, and that put him out for a considerable length of time. And then December 27th, took one off the foot. It has not been a pretty season for Kane in terms of injuries.
Wisniewski back there against Lowry. Trying to come out of the corner with it. Now Lowry being watched by Connaught. Final minute now. And the Jets fans appreciate another solid effort from the home team tonight. Really trying to get in their mojo going here on home ice. They're a better team on the road, at least record-wise. Starting to change that, though.
And the fans are cheering here for a reason, and we know what it is with 35 seconds to go.
Back in the Columbus zone. Around the board, there's Gagliardi banging and crashing, just trying to keep this puck down there. Out to center, Enstrom chips it forward, and it goes back inside the Blue Jackets' blue line. Listen to this crowd applauding this team as they head into the All-Star break on a 5-game winning streak. Make it 7 games with a point, and you can put a shutout on the board for Michael Hutchinson. Second of his career, 4-0 Winnipeg final.
And now I can say the word, a well-earned shutout for me, for Hutchinson. I mean, he had earned this, particularly in the third period, when he made that left pad save, which was an absolute beauty to save his shutout. And for the Winnipeg Jets, a wonderful way to finish going into the All-Star break with a solid victory against a difficult opponent in the Columbus Blue Jackets.
They took away their will early by scoring a couple of goals the first 6 minutes and go to a 4-0 win. Here are your 3 stars tonight on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey from Winnipeg. Michael Hutchinson, who has now stopped 61 of 63 shots against Columbus this season. He's your first star. Wheeler gets the second star. The Winnipeg Jets are rolling into a well-deserved All-Star break with a nice little win streak. The home stretch still to come, and a lot of this story still to be written at the MTS Center. Back to Sportsnet Central. Here's Carly and Jamie.